call the meeting to order. We'll do a roll call. Vandenbrink.
Here.
Borgula.
Here.
Page.
Here.
Gatsky.
Here.
Iverson.
Here.
Sorensen. Here. Before we move on to approving the agenda, this will be Mike Borgula's last meeting. He has chosen not to run for office again, so I wanted to thank him for his 8 years of service to the Ripon Fire District. Thank you.
Not.
And let the record show that Jolene Schatzinger is joining us.
Hey, what time is it? It says 7, it says 7.
Yeah, I started at 7.
Okay, good. 7.
That's like kind of funny that way. Can't start before, but I can start at 7. I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve
Thank you, Gary. Is there a second? Thank you, Mike. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Public comment. No one has signed in, so we'll save that for the next meeting. Secretary's report. The minutes were sent out, the March 7th minutes were sent out in the packet.
And I also have a revised,
That's, oh yeah.
yeah, I have the revised one.
Oh, from February 7th.
With the spelling and correction, and I forgot to put in the Webster's grant of $1,000 to approve that, which then turned out to be $2,000, but that's another thing.
Okay, so thank you for those. We don't have to approve those because they were approved with the changes at the meeting. So, my name is spelled incorrectly on the minutes for March 7th,
Okay.
just in the first sentence.
I don't have it 7. All I got was the
I
agenda
thought I gave you one.
to revise.
Oh,
No,
March-
you didn't
oh,
get it. Oh,
March
you didn't get a packet.
I have one.
Have what?
More than one.
No,
No,
that's
that's
the
the whole
packet.
Wait, do I need the packet too? What was sent to us, because we didn't send, was just these two, just the agenda. That was what was
I
sent to
think
us.
you
Yeah,
did,
all.
she made you a packet.
I put a packet where Gary was sitting, did you not?
Yeah, we moved
They
it
moved it over, it's the stapled one.
Yeah, so I have, what you're saying is I got,
You
yes.
get the packet.
Yeah, and I gave you the stuff from here.
I have that too.
Okay, all right. All right.
This is all mine, right?
Yes, you can have all that.
Okey dokey. So, is there a motion to approve the minutes with the spelling correction?
I'll move to approve.
Thank you, Jonathan. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Barry. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Secretary reports pass. Treasurer's report. Do you want to walk us through that? You're still paying the bills,
Yep.
right?
We do that. We just got on the Wi-Fi, so. But,
Well, if you're.
I'm good now.
Okay, go.
so, there is a, printed email in your, packet from Barb that explains one, negative current period amount in the budget report account, that ends in 221. It was a void of an invoice for December service, so it was reissued. So if you see a negative, looks weird. That's what that's about. But as far as the financial position, the combined cash investments, there's the money market and the checking. So combined cash on hand is $358,142.93. And then there is the cash allocation. She shows below that on the first page how it's sitting in the accounts now. And as far as the annual budget, the 2% dues, so the operations, the state hasn't paid those yet. That will come, I believe, in July, those get paid. So those will come in for the year. The 50% of the municipal payments have been received now, so up to date on those. And then the operations charges, budget was 60,000, year-to-date was 39,44, a bunch went up today, or I saw you sent those over today. So there's several bills, invoices that went up for charges today. As far as the various line item accounts, the full-time salaries is still at zero. I've been working with Ellen and Heather to firm up the transition of that position to the administrative assistant full-time. We're just back and forth on a couple final things, so that will update the budget for that for next month. Other than that, I don't think there's anything of any shock or surprise that I saw in the financials. Professional services, that number is likely high. I believe that's some demand charges is in there from how it's been coded, so that's why it's a significant higher amount. But your budget amount for your full-time staff, who we've been doing some of that work, is zero, so it will eventually hopefully balance out. And our hours should be down now that the interim chiefs are in place.
The part-time salaries, are those partially for the day shift people?
That's primarily.
Because the command team and I went through the budget, and the budget for 2023 schedules 3 people per day, and so that's what is being scheduled, not 4 as has been in the past, so we should be able to stay on budget.
Yep. Other than that, I guess I'd take any questions.
I just saw some things and I was wondering what they were for. But you have trouble with the engine or something? You got something in the Caterpillar engine? O-rings?
That, I don't think it's Caterpillar.
That was the forklift.
That was a forklift, yeah, right. That was, I can't remember the vendor's name, Walter?
Walter.
Yeah, Walter.
Yeah. Yeah, they came in, the forklift had some issues, so they had to replace some O-rings in them.
Okay.
Has the fit test been finished yet?
No, they're scheduled for next, well, no, this month.
Yes, it was scheduled for the 17th of
Finish,
this month.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So on the same page of the invoices, someone needed an x-ray?
So I believe that is, there's 2 claims. There's a workers' comp claim, I don't believe that's the one, I believe that's the one
This
from
is
last year.
Jackman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was a high school intern that got hurt while doing some of their intern program here. There was a copay on the x-ray, so I believe the former chief worked that out and the bill just hadn't gotten paid. So it was to offset the copay on the x-ray.
And there's nothing we have to look into as far as safety, or, I mean, it was just sort of a freak accident and...
I've been told, yeah, it was
Yeah.
June or July of 22.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe he passed.
Anybody got anything?
Yeah, he got
Yeah.
lightheaded, so we, for precautions, we took him in,
Yeah.
had him checked out.
And then right under that, Ryan Design for email admin, 3-month cost.
Yep, so right now the department email is, it's a Google email, but Rhine Design is the reseller for Google. So it's a subscription quarterly payment for department email. For all the members to have email. And then the
I see.
file server and everything, yeah. He's a Google reseller.
So the fit test, there was some of it.
Yep.
That charge is on here.
The
for
Oshkosh
what
Fire
was-
and Police is what they finished,
Okay,
and then they're gonna come back on the 17th and finish it.
Their machine broke.
Yeah.
yeah, I remember that, but I just wanted to make sure
Yeah,
that
no.
that's all, was that what we got charged for, was what they did? And
Yep.
Okay, any other questions?
DSO Solutions?
That was the software that was approved at the March meeting, I think it was.
Feb-
Yeah,
February.
February,
Gotcha.
okay.
If there are no other questions, I would entertain a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
To approve.
Thank you, Jonathan. Is there a second?
Go ahead.
Oh, thank you, Barry. Are there any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay, our second action item under the treasurer's report is we received a $50 donation from Brendan Conlon for a combi tool. And so we wanted to acknowledge that donation. It was unsolicited. He sent it along with a letter to the department, not to the board. So the chief has looked at it, done whatever, and so I would like a motion to accept with thanks the donation from Brendan Conlon.
Make a motion to accept.
Thank you, Jonathan. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Gary. Any further discussion?
Are we sure his name is spelled right, Brendan?
It's Brendon.
Do we want to just update that on the, or that's right?
Those of us
It's here, it
crossed
says,
out the A. Yeah.
but I just mean for the record, for
Yeah.
the future. I think that this is not necessarily on this action item, but where can I add? I had asked in the past that this would be reviewed in the future. When we were going to do the fundraiser, it was about if the combi tool would be for that. When are we going to look at?
We can put that on a future agenda.
Okay.
You want just fundraising in general?
Well, because my question is, I mean, first of all, thank you. I want to say on record, thank you for anyone that sends in a donation. That's huge. If we didn't have a donation, you know, for a combi tool, do we have a combi tool already in the
Okay,
department?
That's
that would be a
that's
question.
just, okay.
That's
we'll put-
my future.
yeah, we'll put that on the next agenda.
Yeah.
Okay, but in the meantime, maybe you could put together a list of things that you would like to see us fundraise for. Okay, so we're not just flailing about on fundraising. Just so you all know, right before the meeting, the firehouse subs money was deposited into our account. And it was, I was like, well, I have no idea what this is, but
Almost 13,000.
no, it's
25-ish.
28, no,
Yeah.
it's $28,965. So that was deposited
Yep.
today.
Yep, so the order, just in regards to that, the order for the equipment's made, they estimate May for delivery time.
Okay, cool. All right, I think we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor of accepting the $50 donation from Brendan Conlon, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Great. Moving on. Administration report.
So I'll cover some, then I'll turn it over to Chief Hollitz. From the administrative side, our McMahon's plan is to start working on, now that you have some interim department leadership in place, to start working on the strategic plan. So there's a draft of the sort of the steps we'll go through. My plan is now in April to work with the 3 chief officers and set up, discuss a planning work group that will be and how that'll look, and firm that up and then start working through that process. So that will be a majority of our time will be spent on that now moving forward. So that's just a sort of a 13 steps there that we'll take. That will take a couple months though. It's, you know, meet 1 or 2 meetings a month and you keep working through the process. And there may be likely a community engagement session, so that'll take some planning and scheduling. So a couple months get to go.
So, Robert, when you say assess department values and values of department members, that means we'll be talking to the rank and file officers.
Correct.
And that was always the plan under the strategic plan.
Yep. There's a couple of different ways we go about it, and that planning work group, you know, to sort of have the feedback from the group that's the planning work group, whether you do one-on-ones, do you do groups of, you know, people, do you do, you know, one of each rank and then have them speak for their position. There's different ways to do it, and so we still need to talk through that method of how we do that. But likely with this size department, you can do one-on-ones or small groups, so you can get good feedback. It's not overwhelming to do, you know, 30 people. It's not like you have a 300-person fire department or something. The CLA auditors were on site last week, and then they worked remotely also for 2 or 3 days. I know Heather spent a fair amount of time helping, working through some things. I answered some questions for them. We're working through a couple other questions, and I'm assuming they're sort of getting to the point where they'll have a draft document later in the agenda is the approval of the actual scope of work for them, and then their engagement letter. They started the work, and then the day she was here, she's like, "Oh yeah, we need to get something signed." So, but they're engaged and looking forward. So I believe part of their process is they may reach out to some board members. That's normally how the audit works, and then talk to you one-on-one and see if they have any questions or concerns you want them to address. I'm not sure. Each firm does it differently. I have not worked with CLA in the past, so different audit firms do it a little differently each time. But she has been here before, and I think she's been at City of Ripon before, so she's well aware of the area. And so
Yeah, and she's leading this audit.
Amber, right?
Yes, I've had communication with her.
She's
before.
leading the audit this
Right.
time.
Yeah. Lieutenant Mumm have requested a 30-day leave of absence from the department last week, so we are working through that. Firefighter Emily Horner resigned. She took a full-time firefighter position in Tennessee, so she is not with the department anymore. And I don't, off the top of my head, I can't remember the date of this, but Fox Valley Tech has a recruitment job fair coming up, the 11th, that two people from the department will be going, and that's going to be an opportunity to recruit paid on call or part-time. And mostly those are people in their 2-year associate degree program that would attend that type of event. So it's a good pool for especially the daytime. That's where you've been drawing a lot of your daytime hour people. So, and those people move through, they're going to graduate, so you need to sort of refresh the pool. So it'll be a good opportunity to do that. So Chief, I don't know if you have anything else you want to add.
No, that's about it. We're sending them guys up there to do that.
Yeah. I don't know if there's anything on calls for service or. Oh. Good question.
Wait, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So with 2 people down for the next 30 days, well, one, permanently left, other than the Fox Valley Technical College Fair, do we have some other plans on how to fill those spots, or how are things gonna look? Or-
We do have some plans. We're looking at updating our employment paperwork to make them look more appealing. We're still working on that. It's gonna take a little time to get that all updated and stuff, but we're working on that, trying to get some normal guys here too to man the station as well, so.
Do you need other support from us or anything else? Or?
Would you like a pager?
Yeah.
No, I think right now Donovan and I are working on that. Once we get that updated and current, then we'll probably bring it to you guys or to Robert here and make sure it's okay to submit it. So we're working on it.
It's important, and and I know that this board knows that morale is important, and so, 2 less people, that has to be a strain.
It is. We've had a lot of people step up. Whether the rank is a lieutenant, captain, chiefs, whatever, we're all pitching in to make it work.
And you have another person who's going to be certified shortly?
We have a driver operator that's going for certification as well.
Yep.
So yep, he will be a great help to us as well. He's currently a firefighter now, but he is going through school to become a driver operator.
So we have, people are working on that to
Yep.
help fill ranks. I did have fire inspection update on here because Russell Manor has been having issues, and it may be best just to go ahead and re-inspect them, and I don't
Correct.
know who you would have do that.
Yep, I'll send Tyler up there to do that.
Okay, thank you. They should look for vets.
Yep.
Because I told them not to pay their bill because they were unhappy with, I think they're unhappy with the increase, but once you do the measurement, now that we have a firm policy in
Right.
place and there's a measurement thing.
I talked to her right when we got engaged, like January, and that was the issue. And I told her, I think, the same thing. I said, just wait.
Yep,
We're
yep.
got to work through a lot of stuff here. But it was the price increase from 2021 to 2022
Yeah.
that they were concerned about.
Yeah.
For the same building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And then.
Do you want me to address the?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so also there's a reinspection here for St. Peter's Episcopal Church that I'm a part of. I love this church. The reason why there are no issues, to be clear, that I'm aware of. The reason why I believe it's on here is that, so the chief had called me and needed to go through. I actually walked through with him, and I do not believe there was any follow-up from the fire department. I don't know if that's normal or not, but the point is, I personally heard what needed to be fixed, and I personally have overseen that those things, just, you know, sort of hanging the fire extinguishers on the wall versus sitting on the ground. So I don't foresee a need. I don't necessarily need taxpayer money spent on re-inspecting, but, you know, obviously, they're welcome. You're welcome to come out and check. But whatever was pointed out, I could personally say I saw that it was, I guess I just wanted to be open and upfront, that I did not see an official sort of follow-up.
Not forgive me for not knowing, but I don't know if the department was doing re-inspections after the initial violation. Some departments, if it's a non-critical violation, they just wait till the next cycle to check for.
And that seemed pretty non-critical, obviously,
Yeah,
but.
but I'm not familiar as to how it's been handled in the past. I don't know if anyone here can answer that.
I was only
Like, re-inspection after violations, or did you guys, were you doing re-inspections as a department, or was it as needed?
As
Got it, okay. So,
I guess in that situation, it seems like things were normal.
Yeah.
So probably you could take that off of
Okay.
a need here.
Okay, thank you. You want to go back to the calls?
yep, so the call report is in there, John. I don't know if for Heather or Cody, do you have anything?
Everybody's got a call list, sign it back to 22 calls for the month. For the month, day shift had 6 calls. Rapid response, there was none. Mutual aid given, 2. Received, 0. Total calls for the year so far is 79. And most of them you can see are activated fire alarms. A couple EMS assists.
Are those people just pulling fire alarms? Or are there like fires?
No, they pull them.
Oh.
It could be
some
burnt
of them are,
food.
like some of our burnt foods, they smoke, so they're, especially at the nursing homes and stuff.
Oh, okay.
They're real sensitive, so stuff doesn't get out of hand. So, yeah, so we have a lot of burnt food. The college has burnt food, burnt popcorn the other day. So, I mean, some of them are kind of, you know, one of the activated fire alarms was for the laundry room at Alliance Laundry. So we had to ventilate and stuff, so.
Is Alliance still calling here instead of 911?
No, it goes through dispatch.
Oh, good. Okay. Any building project updates?
There's been the doors, repair doors.
I think that's
But
down
that's
here.
Down further.
Yeah, that's down
Yeah,
here
that's
on the
down.
action item.
Yeah, and, but nothing has gone, as far as the upstairs, that's still on hold.
Yep, nothing with project updates.
Yeah.
And any update on purchasing priorities?
So I think that was the discussion from what I remember, what Jolene had brought up, probably in the earlier, under the financial report. You asked about, that's how I took what your question was, because about prioritization for like donations and things like that.
Oh.
That's an open agenda item that we just need to keep working on. But that's where I think I had my notes from 2 meetings ago, you may have asked about that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and that's just on my to-do list. for-
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, so that can be part of the fundraising discussion
Yep.
at our next meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so is everybody good with the March calls? Are there any questions? Okay, we'll move on to old business. Update on the status of the forensic audit. I am ready to call the forensic auditor probably after tax day to come in and review what I've gone over and what Michelle Bealey has gone over. We still do not have access to the credit card. It's been over 4 months, and Michelle Bealey actually filled out the paperwork and did a cover letter for us because they were the bank that issued the credit card. And then I do fax in from the police department because we don't have a fax line here. So at our next meeting, I think we're gonna have to talk about different options to get that information. So that's where we're at. Any questions?
So we have our attorney here, could he get any more action?
That's an option, and we may look at that. That's one of them in terms of requesting some
I mean,
of
this
those
seems
things.
like bullshit to me, we're paying this thing and they're not giving us any access.
Yeah, we're still getting charges on it.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's,
no,
that's
you gotta
ridiculous.
have, yeah, we can help with that.
You know, but if you told them you aren't paying anymore on this thing, they might change their attitude too, or if we just didn't. All that thing is, to me,
Yeah, I anticipate we'd work with the forensic auditor. We'll do something on letterhead. We'll request the different pieces to it because we're gonna need it to review the things so you can make decisions on it. So,
yeah.
So do we need to make that an action item?
No.
Okay.
if it's okay with you, we'll just move ahead with it in coordination with the forensics audit piece. Okay? We'll just do it.
Because I have to bring back, the forensic auditor wants to look at what we have and then give us an estimate of the cost. Because typically it's $30,000 for a forensic audit. So that's why I had to pull all of this information and pull it together and work with Michelle Bealey so that they don't have to do it.
Thank you.
If we would have hired somebody and they paid them the full, say, 30,000, whichever, however it would be, would they be able to get the access to that information?
I don't
It would be
know.
stuck in the water too, or?
We'll look at it. I have to look at it and see. I don't know enough about it yet, but we'll pursue it. There'll be a way that if you're getting the responsibility for it, you're gonna have to get control for it and answer to it. You know, also, we don't know what liability or what other issues are out there, you know, hopefully nothing. But until the auditors you can look at that, you don't know. And that's the whole idea, is just getting a handle around everything so there's no unanswered questions, there's no stories or rumors or other pieces of something wrong. It's just all done in a good place. That's the goal of this. And we'll do that with the credit cards too. And I assume some past people might be able to help us as well too. There's no interest in that. I mean, it's just getting the right signatures and the right documents and getting that done. So.
Okay, are there any more questions about that forensic audit?
Well, can I ask another question about, just you said, you'll look into it. Did we have to wait till this meeting to get, because if we don't need an action item, it sounds like it was just kind of assumed, you as representing us, our lawyer, could move forward in that. I guess I just want to make sure that we don't wait till another month goes by and...
We'll just start now.
Okay.
That's what I'm hearing from the direction from the board, is to just
Yeah.
get going on this. And as you were saying, Ellen, as I understand it, you've saved a lot of time and energy already with Ellen and some others helping with this, that you're not paying me or you're not paying the forensics auditor. That's good. So once you get to as far as you can go internally to save those resources, I don't want to be writing letters or doing things that cost you yet, but now we will.
Okay.
Because you're kind of at the dead end and the forensics auditors are going to want it and not do that. It shouldn't be, it should be cost effective. I'm hoping a couple phone calls or a letter, we're going to get that stuff, so.
Yeah, and I'm
We got to
at,
sue to get it, that's a different thing. I don't anticipate, that's rare. I gotta deal with stuff sometimes that somebody doesn't give me a password, or they won't give me other aspects to get the stuff we need for our businesses. We get it eventually, just a matter of how far they want to go. Holding back, who's ever got control over it, and I don't know that yet, but we'll find out pretty quick. I have a pretty good idea how we can do that. Okay.
yep, and so I'm just waiting for the auditor to be finished with taxes, because this is like a bad time to bring them in. But it's taken this long for Michelle and I to get everything to the point where we know what we don't have, we know what we have. All right, new business. So we have in your packet the committee recommendations for the change order. And we have Becky and Coop here. Do you guys have a copy of this? Do you want to go ahead and run through it for us and tell us, Jolene was not at the meeting at Pierce, so.
I was at the tour, but not at the meeting.
Correct, where we actually went through everything, and the sales lady was like the Vanna White of the fire truck. Goodness. So if you guys want to just walk us through and tell us again why, and then we will use this as an action item tonight. This would be the change order.
So on the top, change water tank to 1,000 gallons. We're a rural department, so trying to increase the water ability to from 750 gallons to 1,000. Gives us a little bit more stretch to get the tenders out to us when we're out in the country. Roto chains, we all live in Wisconsin. We know how kind of icy the roads could kind of get. Gives us this ability to drop chains and get to where we need to go. The next line item is delete the intercom system. What that's doing, it's saving us $8,000 roughly. We're getting rid of the headsets and we're just going to a speaker system inside the truck. It'll save some money, so we can take that money and put it towards something that we're gonna need. It also saves us the $8,000, but it's a maintenance aspect too, because the intercom system, it's wireless headsets, which if they go out of sync, then we have to resync them. We have batteries to replace them. It's just a wear item that we honestly could do without. Change rear bumper to 18 inches. It's a safety aspect. It increases the rear bumper that we stand on from 12 inches to 18 inches. Weather band radio. So when we go out weather spotting, we have the ability to listen to the weather channel when we're out there. Additional speakers are 2 ways. That goes and coincides with the intercom system. So that's adding the speakers into the cab. So we have that. Additional foam outlets. So when we're out on a fire scene, we don't always have the capability of running foam, a blanket of foam on all our hand lines. So we have to pull off an additional hand line to be able to use that foam line. Well, that's adding more foam lines to that engine, so we're not pulling as much equipment off the rig to use that. Slide out tool board. It's pretty much basic organization of the engine, and it's something more or less that we should probably be doing at the same time that Pierce is building the vehicle versus afterwards, because they're already going to have the measurements, the specs, they have the vehicle, they can just do it all right there in the fab shop while it's there. Tinting the crew cab doors, it helps save the heat on the inside. The air conditioner's not going to have to run as much if people are inside of it. It saves the interior, the vinyls, the plastics that are in there, because now everything's going to cancer watch, so everything's going into vinyls and hard plastics that can be cleaned off and sanitized. Well, if you look at some of the dashes and some plastics with the heat, that kind of tears apart that stuff. Water level gauge, that's just so it's a visual check for command, or if you're away from the rig, you can see where your water levels are at on your engine. The chevron on the front bumper, it's another safety aspect. So there's an NFPA requirement now that's requiring all emergency vehicles to have the chevron striping. If the chevron striping I'm referring to is like the neon yellows, the orange striping on the back of the vehicles, the ambulances. That would just add that to the front bumper. There's a lot of emergency vehicles that are still getting hit out in the roads these days, and first responders hoping that might alleviate an accident, but it's a small item purchase. Then the next two items, the drop down for the hose tray and the front discharge is for we don't have a front discharge on this engine currently. We'd like to be able to have that capability of being able to grab a hand line from the very front of the engine. If you go out to look at engine 16, we have that same ability to use that hand line there too. It's just a quick, easy, deployable hand line that we can get access to right away, especially with some of the roads that we work on. They're narrow, single lane roads. So it's a little bit of quicker access to those hose lines. And then on the bottom, if I remember right from the meeting, and if I'm wrong, correct me, we decided to go with the Go Light for the dash for the officer seat. Pretty much it's a remote controlled spotlight. So if we're out in a rural area at 2 o'clock in the morning, we can highlight a specific area of the ditch if we need to. Or if we're driving through trying to find fire addresses for EMS call or whatever it may be, we have the access to highlight fire numbers without waking up everyone. So that totals out to $14,000.
So what we're asking you to do tonight is to approve this change order, and Doug, I will email it to you so you can include it in the minutes. And there may be another change order coming once the specs are drawn. We won't take receipt of this truck until December of 2025. So we're out a ways. So there probably won't be another change order till they drop the specs, correct?
I believe that's how she quoted it.
Okay. So are there any questions about what the committee is recommending? Okay, seeing none, I would entertain a motion to accept the committee recommendation for the change order for a total of $14,043. I'm going to put that dollar amount in there, Doug. Okay. Is someone willing to make that motion?
I'll make that.
Thank you, Gary.
Let's be specific, can we state it? That you move to accept the,
Change orders on the fire truck.
for $14,043. I think we should be specific. I'll second it.
Thank you, Julie. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Do we need to do a roll call vote for this?
We can if you think we should.
I just asked.
Okay, Vanderbrink,
Yes.
Orgula,
Yes.
Page,
Yes.
Gatsky,
Yes.
Schatzinger,
Yes.
Iverson,
Yes.
Sorensen, yes. And thank you both for being here tonight and for showing us all of your hard work and getting this thing together. So if you need us for anything, just let us know. Thank you. All right, and the next item is to purchase security cameras for the exterior of the fire station. It should have said action item too. Per the fact that we were having some issues with, I don't know what a good word is for it, but police,
People around the building.
people around the building that shouldn't
Associated with
be,
the department.
who are not associated with the department. PD has stepped up their patrols here, but I think that's an unreasonable request to have them continue to do that in perpetuity. So I'm recommending that we get 3 different bids for security cameras around the outside of the building.
That would monitor.
It would be, you can
You're
do a
just gonna
variety.
use
I
your
do my,
phone
I
or
put a,
something.
I put a security system in my home for the same reason, and I monitor it on my phone.
So it's not gonna be like Ingalls Field where the PD is actually monitoring it lifetime.
No, we would be responsible for monitoring it. You can do it you can do a lot of things on your phone even these days.
Yeah, to that point, I mean, you can go, this could be $1,000s a project or just a couple hundred, depending if we use, sort of internet cameras versus, you can really
Yeah,
sky
it
the-
can be done very reasonably. So we should probably get 3 different bids. So, what do you think? You think so? What do you think?
I would say at least 2,
Yeah,
for sure.
2 to 3.
2 to 3. So
3 would be the preferred, but
I would assume
places
that
are
a lot
all
of
busy.
fire departments just have it. It seems like that would be like best practices to have security monitoring.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty simple to do it on your own.
Are you volunteering?
We don't want you to leave that there.
Could have stalled.
You could have hesitated just a second more.
So if it's okay with everybody, what we'll do is go out and get what, two bids?
Or, well, three.
try to get three.
Two or
Two or three.
three.
I would suggest three, and all these companies, I mean, everywhere, construction, they're so busy right now that to get them to come and bid, so I'd say we should try to get three, and hope that two actually submit something.
Okay, and then we'll have them on the
That's
next
thing.
agenda.
A construction company, yeah, that's gonna be so expensive. You can literally go on the internet and buy, if we just have someone that knows how to install it.
There might be I think there's gonna be a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
We should just look at
Yeah.
options, because I think the amount could vary significantly,
Yes.
depending on what features you want, how you maintain the video, or do you maintain, where do you
How
maintain?
many hours do you maintain?
I would think that the company that does the door controls, I can't remember their name, I'm sure they'll be able to give a quote. Yeah, that's usually
You can
right up
also
there,
check with PD.
companies like that.
I'll check with them tomorrow.
Okay,
Definitely.
all right, yeah. Chief Wallner also recommended that we rekey the doors. So we're looking into that. But I don't think there'll be much of a cost with that, because everybody has fobs. So is there a motion for us, or should we have a motion to go out and get three bids?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, you wanna do that?
Sure. Move that we go out and get three bids for a security camera system.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Gary. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now, we're moving on to the contract for the annual audit services with Clifton Larson Allen. It is an action item because, as I said, the command staff and I went through the budget, and we were budgeted for $3,000 for this year, but we are a high risk for the audit. So they're recommending $6,500 minimum for the audit this year. So because it is a change in the budget, it is an action item because we're expending more money.
Could we get another bid on that?
They've already started.
They've been doing it for years, so they have all this
I
information
know,
and stuff.
but then it shouldn't.
We aren't gonna get it for less, we're high risk. Jim, do you have any opinion on that?
I don't know what their cost would be, but it is a little odd that it's after the fact, it's already started. It's hard to say, you know.
Well, what bothers me with this, and I hope they're listening, they've been doing this all along and everything's been fine.
No, it hasn't.
Well, it's been pretty
No,
much,
no,
they never
it
came
hasn't.
down here and said, hey, you guys aren't doing this right.
It was
You've
written
got-"
up in the report.
Yep. It was there.
It was in the last 2 pages of the report. I read 21 and, or 20 and 21, and it was in the back
Yep.
pages of it, that there were no internal controls. And so what they're auditing will be looking at those lack of internal controls and payments. We sent them, 5 budget lines to look at from last year too? 4 or 5 to look at, where we know that the money wasn't expended for those items, but all the money was used up. So they're doing a more in-depth audit.
Well, I'll go on record saying, we gotta do what we gotta do, but sometimes this stuff gets to be a crock of crap. You know, it should have been, you know, I remember saying there was a few deficiencies there. Was nothing I was worried about. And I've been sitting here for a long time and it's been audited. I've never heard anything, ever, that we really should be, hey, you better really watch this because this could be a problem. Now, when you're paying them, you gotta have an extra meeting to come and see them, and they aren't bringing that out. I mean, it's like, if I'm mowing your lawn every day and I'm going this far away from the trees, aren't you gonna say something? I mean, it just, this kind of stuff just bothers me. We're paying good money for professional people and then we don't get, to me, that's that's baloney.
Well, when you sit with them in a meeting and you go through year by year, line by line for things, and they're all off the books, you got a problem. They can't find something that's off the books. What I had to do is the reports that I do have, I had to go through line by line in the year, in a specific month, and they went back and looked, and they had no information on that.
If I can add to this, it's the
Go ahead.
difference between the audit that is looking at the information that's given to them to review everything to see if that's up to speed, so it's a limited view. And there'll always be notes at the end, and that's what's referred to in the last couple pages to say, we didn't look at this stuff and there may be problems in this area. It doesn't tell you a lot, but it's a red flag whenever there's notes. And there's gonna be notes at the end of almost every nonprofit kind of organization.
There were
And-
notes on this thing.
Sure, so that's a tip-off for starters. The forensics piece takes that smaller snapshot, what you're doing now, what I'm listening to, is a little bigger snapshot to say, we're not gonna just look at what you give us, we're gonna look at several other items, things, so there's gonna be more cost to it, just to explain that. Then the forensics piece takes another outside group altogether and says, regardless of who's been looking at this before, we're gonna tighten everything up and take a really close look to get this in order so you can all move on. That's separate from what you ought to do is calendar a couple months ahead for next year and go out to several accounting firms and ask for a several year bid that you lock in your numbers so you can budget that for several years with a firm. And it may be CLA, it may not. But I think your timing would be good to do that, whether you stay with them or not. It's just you're farther down the road now, it's unfortunate and it's odd that you get a bill sort of, and it's hard to move right now. But I think you're on track to get it cleaned up, both with them, with the forensic, and then yourself.
Well, we'll get
But
it
calendar
cleaned up.
for next
I'm
year.
not worried about it.
The calendar for next year, so you can do a request for a multiple year bid, okay? And from sitting on some other boards that I do, history-wise, we all do it differently, and I'm not saying right, but at least I see a history where we'll ask, every several years, we'll ask for bids from several accounting firms, and we'll lock it in for a couple of years. And then it's real clear what they're gonna look at too.
We can do that like July 1.
Yeah. Yeah.
I may have a template or RFP for
Okay.
auditing that I can
Okay.
get you.
Yeah, I'm also for that we move forward with, because they know our situation, they've already started working on this, so I think, we need to get to the bottom of this. But I will say, I'm gonna back up my colleague and say, when they had presented in the past, I do remember after they presented us, and we did see what it said specifically regarding internal controls, and because I have said to myself time and time again, how do we get to this place? And I sat on this board and not see something, and why wasn't there like a red flag? And I remember specifically asking, do you see anything that you can then speak more to of a concern? And kind of like what you had just said, it's not uncommon to see these things for nonprofits. We're adding this to a lot of places we work with, right? I mean, there was nothing that they really made it sound like. Now, I also hear what you're saying. When you sat down and looked more specifically, they are finding things. But I also want to say that serving on this board, no, there was not an inkling that they made it seem like we should be
Was there
concerned.
anything wrong? Right. Or do we need to be real concerned about it? And and as far as a thing like this goes, so we've got something in the budget for Twinkies, $2,000 for Twinkies for this year, and we didn't buy any Twinkies. But we had to pay Clifton Gunderson some more money, so we took the money out of the Twinkies and paid them, and that happens a lot of.
It does, but we need to have.
Whether we did right by actually sitting in here and moving that money exactly from Twinkies to.
But I don't think you moved the money.
I don't think we probably did.
I don't think you moved the money, and that's what they're looking, that's what we need to have them look for. Because when you're given a budget, you can move money, but the board has to move the money.
Right. But, we have somebody paying the bills. So there's money in the account. So what budget line it comes from, I don't know how concerned she is, and for us too, do we have it brought in front of us, say, hey, we're out of money for for Twinkies, but, you know, we got some money over here, so now we have to have it on the agenda to change that.
Right.
But, you know, a lot of times that stuff doesn't happen, and whether it's supposed to or not, a lot of times it doesn't.
Right.
You know, as long as you got money, you don't worry about it.
I do.
Yeah, you do. But
I do.
A lot of people don't.
Well, it's taxpayer money, then I get nervous
Yeah,
about that.
it is.
And I also get nervous too, Gary, because a lot of this stuff was safety stuff for our firefighters, for our rank and file. And the fact that those people never had fit testing for their masks is crazy. And that they didn't have physicals, that's $20,000 worth of stuff that would have protected our firefighters.
And yes, and where was it used, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it was used to help pay for the on-staff things in the daytime. I don't know. And we probably should know.
Yeah.
But, you know, I just, sometimes this stuff kind of burns.
Yeah. Well, this whole thing burns me.
Yes. And, you know, and we've been paying for an audit, and I thought we were clear, and now it turns out we weren't. And, you know, they can give excuses either way, but it makes me kind of wonder. And then, okay, because we weren't doing it right in the first place, or you weren't doing it right, now we're gonna double your charge. That kind of frosts.
I think they're gonna spend a lot more time on it.
Maybe, but I don't know how much time they're spending before. So I'm a farmer. I work a lot of hours and I don't get paid like, you know.
Yeah, I know.
And to me, if they're getting good value, I don't care, but, all right, I'm done.
Is there a motion to go ahead and pay the $6,500 for the audit?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Doug, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Jolene. Is there any further discussion?
I just wanted to say, having been, so I get what you guys are saying, but having been a part of ISO audits, which is different, but I've been in a lot of ISO audits, and at the end result, there's always either a non-compliance or a finding for me in my world. And when it's a finding, enough times, eventually it becomes a non-compliance. And so when I look through their audit, I remember their notes at the back, and that's the way I took it, is that you're not at the non-compliant level, you're at the finding, which is them saying, like, this is an issue, you should address it. And then the next year it's like, this is an issue, you should address it. But at some point that will become a bigger issue. So that's how I read their audit the last
Then
time.
it did.
So,
Thank you.
yeah, for what it's worth. Yeah.
Is there any other discussion? We'll take a roll call vote on this one. Vanderbrink.
Yes.
Regula. Page.
Yes.
Gatsky.
Yes.
Schatzinger.
Yes.
Iverson.
Yes.
Sorensen, yes. Thank you. Now we're gonna talk about door replacements in the bay.
Can I ask you a question on this? So I missed this part of the last meeting, because I was running late, so I missed the door section.
okay.
So I was looking through this, and I don't see the review bids.
That's because you did get a report of the
Okay,
bids.
all right,
We don't have them all,
okay, all right.
because contractors are busy.
So I'll speak on the door replacement. The two north doors over here in the apparatus bay are rusted. They're out on the north side. They don't get a lot of sunlight.
Walk in.
The walk-in doors, correct. They don't get a lot of sunlight throughout the winter months. The salt is back there. So they're in disrepair. They are all closing right now. I tweaked them, I worked on them, I lubed them up. They are all working, so the building is secure. I did get one bid from Ripon Area Builders. I'm waiting on a second bid from Pole Ash Construction. He's booked out for months, but he's trying to get us a bid. Just didn't get it in time for the meeting tonight. So I think the doors could probably wait yet until we get the second bid for sure, so we can compare. But in the future, I think those two doors should be repaired sooner than later.
Question. Those are the only two doors we need to repair, or some of the other ones real close to it in case we gotta wait for a year to get them in?
Everything on the south side is in really good shape. The kitchen door over here for the kitchen area It's in pretty good shape as well. The salt didn't get to that one because they couldn't throw it that far. The city couldn't throw it that far. So that door does work pretty good. And one of the contractors that I got the bid from said he would tweak that door a little bit too and make it so it
Okay.
we'll be fine.
I was just thinking if they're coming, if we had anything extra.
So that's
Thank you.
all I got on the doors.
So we don't really have to take any action tonight. We would put it on the agenda hoping that we would get that other bid.
But you feel if we wait another month, we're gonna be okay with these doors?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. I would think most of the summer you should be fine.
Is there anything that we could do better, like after the new doors come in to help them last, like a drainage, like a, grind down, like a setback or something? Just anything to help get the salt away from it?
I think the biggest problem we got there is the winter months in the sunlight. It just doesn't melt off quick enough like it does out here in the front, And I don't know if there's really a solution to that. No salt, I guess, would take care of that. But
Do you have to use metal?
the doors are out of metal, yes.
So you have to use metal to
I
replace
think
it?
that's cold.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
That would be a cool thing.
Aspen.
I asked the same question.
Oh.
Believe me,
Yes, they
even
have to
the
be
steel
metal.
building, didn't it happen with your old town building there where just over time, some of it came from salt and some of it just came from rusting where all of your pillars got bad and stuff, right?
Yeah.
You can walk downtown here and on the sidewalks, and a lot of those stores, bottoms and all, they're gonna have to replace the doors.
Correct.
It's living here.
I mean, when they put salt where I work, the whole bottom of the building was rusted.
You're exactly right.
If you want salt to get thrown up against her, just have modern rental come, everybody will throw it out there for you.
So I'm going to move on. Board discussion, communication. We had no letters to the board this month. I did have a long talk with Dave Hahn on Saturday about his fire. And he's has some suggestions about, and I talked with Heather about it, for maybe when they're doing inspections to have like a little tutorial for businesses on fire extinguisher use and other issues related to how to react in a fire or how to store things appropriately. And I thought that was a really positive feedback. So he did some good stuff. So future agenda items, I'll put fundraising on, and you'll come in with a list of things that you want to fundraise for. I think the truck should probably be on there also. Even though we don't need to raise a lot of money for it, it's better to get the community involved. And then I did go out for bid for July 1 for auditors. I'll just put that on my calendar and we'll do an RFP. I'll get a copy of an RFP.
If I wanted to talk about doing exit interviews with all firefighters, do you want me to bring that up
Yes.
here?
Yeah, let's put it on for the next meeting because you have an exit interview sheet for current firefighters developed, and we should probably look at it to add any questions that we think would be appropriate. Jonathan has volunteered to do those exit interviews for former firefighters, so thank you very much.
Do you want to do it with the whole board, or do you just want to do it us three so we don't have to bog down the next meeting?
Us three is fine.
Okay, that's fine.
And then we can share it, and if anybody has an addition, they can.
The one person who left, she already moved, like, she gave probably less than 2 weeks notice that she was moving out of town.
I'll go down to Tennessee now, I'll get out of the.
Yeah.
Phone call.
Yeah, there you go. Business calls, man.
How far are you gonna go back? Have we talked about that? Or is that,
I think that list that we were given, that's what you were looking at, isn't it? The list that we were given of former firefighters?
Oh, I guess I hadn't thought about it. Honestly, I was gonna start recent, and my intent was just to go back as far as people answer me. I mean, realistically, I'll just keep going back.
Because the recent ones should probably, anybody this year should probably be done by the chief or deputy chief or the assistant chief, and you may want to sit in on them. But if you go far a ways back, it depends,
Sure.
so.
Yeah,
Okay.
we talk about it.
And we'll put that on the next. So we're going to probably go into closed session shortly, but our next regular meeting is May 2nd. But I wanted to poll you all to see if you would be available for a meeting mid-month if we can get a response from the forensic auditor. And then we would meet to move on that instead of waiting a full month. Like around the 18th or the 19th. It's a Tuesday or Tuesday or a Wednesday.
Tuesday, 18th.
Yeah, because you can't wait for that day. So would that work for folks? if we-
Well, what
It's
are we
a-
waiting for the motion for? For like the cost?
No, this would be moving forward with any letters that would need to, unless you want us to just do that?
Oh, yeah, we usually need board action.
Okay.
I want to just get the stuff and keep that moving for the
Okay.
audit. We'll get into the audit.
Okay, then don't worry about it. So May 2nd. All right, would someone like to make a motion to adjourn into closed session?
I move to adjourn into closed session.
Is there a second?
A second.
Thank you, Jonathan. Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. Vanderbrink,
Here.
Wait a minute, what's the roll call vote for?
going into closed
Okay.
session. Wargula,
Yeah.
your last closed session. Paige.
Yes.
Gadsky.
Wait a minute.
Yes. Okay.
Schatzinger. Schatzinger.
I didn't realize if it's on the agenda, we could vote to not go into closed session. It's on the agenda which was approved, right?
But you still need a motion to go into closed session by the open meeting law.
Okay, yes, so yes.
Iverson.
Yes,
Sorensen, yes. Does anybody need a 5-minute break?
yes, because he's got to turn his camera on.
There are no action items from closed session, so I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I thought you might want to do
I'll
that,
second
Mike.
that.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you for your service, Mike. All those in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you all.